Hey everybody, this is Dallin Barnes. I'm coming to you from Washington, Utah. For those that don't know me, I've been in the sales industry for probably 11 years doing door-to-door. I have recruited multiple teams. I've been up and down, making six figures above and below. And so I do know how to build teams successfully, and I've had a lot of experience in doing this. And so what I would like to share with you today is more of the foundation that you need to actually bring guys on board. This is not going to be a training on where to get guys or how to actually recruit them. I will be doing some other trainings to help you guys out later that are more involved, how to go out and get guys, how to market and advertise, and also how to interview. So that being said, this is the foundation that is needed for you to actually start building. So I want to get that clear, and let's dive into this. So the first thing that we need to build your foundation, you have to have leaders, okay? You have to have a good culture. You have to have a good mindset, a growth mindset, and not a fixed mindset. You also have to have clear systems and processes in place. So let's get into that part right now. So the first thing is leadership, okay? As we're going through this, I want you to ask yourself, I wrote down some questions here. I want you to ask yourself, what does your leadership look like? Okay, do you have a good leader in place? Also, do you have a good manager? Okay, managers and leaders are not the same. Sometimes they can be, but oftentimes we'll see that there's great leaders that make poor managers, and there's great managers that make poor leaders. So you have to have good leadership in place. Okay, it is important for your team to grow and for them to continue to work with you. You're going to have a solid leader, and this person has to be organized, has to be able to create a vision, okay, has systems and processes in place. This person is caring, is competitive, charismatic, is protective, is loving, leads from the front, he's honest, or she has integrity, is always learning, is always giving, sees the big picture, is a great communicator, believes in themselves, is supportive, calculated, level-headed, forgiving, listens, is observant. So how do you measure up with those? You know, I am always constantly trying to become a better leader, and sometimes I think that I'm a better manager just because of my organizational skills. But every team, you know, I like to think of it as a basketball team, kind of the analogy that for you to really succeed, you have to have certain people in place. Okay, you have to have the person that is the assist guy, which might be your point guard. Okay, you have to have somebody who can put up points, which is your shooting guard. Maybe somebody is just solid, which is your center. And then you have maybe your other two guys, which are kind of assist guys, your forward and your small forward. So really, to start growing something, you need to get people in place that you can build under. So it does take time, and it takes a lot of work, but also takes for them to believe in you. So you have to be a good leader. Next, we're going to talk about the winning culture. Culture is very important. It's how people are going to be retained within your organization, on your team. It's also something that you can have a winning culture. So with culture, people need to feel valued and understood. Okay, your people need to feel that you are excited to have them on board. Your culture needs to have systems and processes in place so you can manage the systems and not the people. So your culture needs to have clear expectations on what you want and where you want to take them. Your culture needs to have a way that team can grow. If you cannot help your team grow, just want to point out here that you will have them burn out, and they will leave your program if they're not growing. So some self-reflection questions. How does your culture feel? Is your culture competitive? Can people advance from within? Does it have good leaders? Do you have a fair compensation plan? Do your people feel valued? Do you have clubs in place, such as book clubs, number clubs, etc.? Do you have inter-office competitions? Do you guys go out and serve the community? Do you have team swag that separates you from everybody else? How are your trainings? Do you have something that's organized in your trainings? Does your team have a growth mindset instead of a fixed mindset? Do you push and reward performance and give recognition when it is due and where it is due? How is the communication on your team? Do you guys talk often? Do you guys hang out? Are you guys on GroupMe? Do you Slack? Or are you just not communicating at all? So some really important things there. Yeah, the growth mindset. Do you really want to grow? Sometimes people don't want to grow. They say it, but they don't want to put in the work to do so. Also, they're not willing to invest the time or the money. I mean, are you willing to invest money into growing your operation? Have you spent any money growing your operation? Or are you just trying to do everything for free? That's one of the mistakes that I think I've made over the 10 years that I've been doing this. Is I started off for the first many years, I just tried to do stuff that was free. I tried to go out there and shoulder tap, really use my network, which wasn't it's not bad to use your network, but we're gonna get into this later, that digital marketing really is the way to go now for growing a team, and you're gonna need to spend money to do so. Another thing is, if you wanna grow, you need to stop wearing all the hats. That's another mistake that I've made that I'll share with you guys, is you can't wear every single hat of your business. And if you're trying to do it, you're just not gonna succeed. You're gonna get burned out, and your team's gonna get burned out because they're not feeling as if they're growing. So you need to delegate and empower whenever possible. It's extremely important. And if right now, if you're watching this and you have felt that way, that maybe somebody's wearing all the hats and you haven't grown, maybe talk to your leader and ask them to delegate, and maybe you can see some opportunity there. So delegate and empower whenever possible. If you don't, you will get burned out and you will not grow. They will not grow. You're also going to make more money if you can pass off tasks that someone can do 80% as good as you. So teach your team the proper principles and help them govern themselves. Okay, number 2 is, how many recruits can you really handle? Okay, so that's a question that you just got to ask yourself. I mean, can you handle 5 recruits on your team? Do you have the manpower to manage that, to get them through everything that they need to get through? Can you handle 10? Can you handle 20? Can you handle 30? So what really is the amount of recruits that you can handle right now? If it's not very high, what do you need to do to get to that point where you can actually handle more guys? Okay, new recruits require a lot of attention. Are you willing to create the systems and processes and structure to handle the numbers there? Okay, also when we're doing this, when we're recruiting, we're definitely not all on the same level. Are you willing to study and learn properly how to recruit, how to train, how to onboard? Are you willing to put into time to learn processes that are needed to get stuff done and to grow this thing? So the systems and processes, this is what I put down. We can go over some other stuff later on, more trainings. I'm not going to go into detail how to get them to the interview or the actual interview. Then you have the onboarding processes, the setting expectations, and then you have your training systems. Okay, so to get them into the interview, I told you guys that I'm not going to go a lot into this, but one thing, you need to change your mindset. And you need to start thinking, okay, if I'm going to build my organization, if I'm going to build my team, I need to start spending money. And it actually takes quite a bit of money to start attracting these reps from Facebook, from LinkedIn, from Instagram, from Indeed, ZipRecruiter, etc. You're going to have to spend money to get this done. So just put that in your mind. And if you're not willing to do that, then think that you're probably not going to grow. So we're going to go into another time the whole interview process and the steps and the questions. But for right now, the interview is where you make your first good impression face to face. Okay, I mean, you could step back and when you're setting up the interview, yeah, you're making impressions there, but this is where you're going to make your first good impression. Know that they are going to be judging you, and it's okay to judge them. And so if they're judging you, you need to make sure that you make yourself presentable, use proper language, no terms that only you know. Just like in a sell, you don't want to use terminology that people just don't understand, that's not clear. You want to be extremely organized. I can't stress that enough. You're going to hear that over and over again. You got to be organized. Okay, the screening process will go as follows. You're going to do your first interview. Possibly that's going to be a webinar. Maybe that's me setting something up for you if you guys want to use me for that, or a FaceTime call. Okay. The second interview is conducted by someone new if possible, and either FaceTime. When I say FaceTime, I mean like Skype, or something that you can see one another, or it's in person. The third interview, you and hopefully another person can be a part of this, and hopefully it's in person. If not, then once again, it's in face-to-face in FaceTime or Google Duo or something like that. And sometime in this interview, you might want to offer the position and give them a selected time frame to give you a response. And so it could be 48 hours, could be a week. That's something that you need to set. Number 5 is, in the interviews, you will cover company history. You're going to cover the vision of the future. You're going to talk to them about culture, competitions, pay, housing, tools, uniforms, training, prizes, products, our products that we're selling, possibly go into reviews, growth opportunities for them, location, where you're going to go for traveling traveling for a summer? Are you going to stay in that location? Schedule, which is important, work hours, travel, etc. So you're going to go over, you want them to be clear what they're getting into. Number 6 is know that they will be skeptical until they interact with you more and more and more. And that's something that I think I've made the mistake in the past. So you can sign people up, you can get them on your team, but to actually retain them, you got to get them involved. You got to get the team interacting with them, and it can't just be you. Once again, you have to get other people involved with this process for it to succeed. Also, getting them out selling soon is super important. If you don't, they're just not going to. They're going to be skeptical. They're not going to believe what you're doing is real. And once they actually get their first sell and they see you make a sell, they'll know that it's real, and they will get excited. Also know, number 8 is know that they're going to be looking up reviews on your company. They might even look you up on LinkedIn, Facebook. So also present yourself well there, so that way you're not going to think that you're a scam or it's a scam. Okay, so the onboarding. I know I got a lot of words here, so I guess you can just listen to me as I kind of go through this. So once you have recruited a guy to your team, what are your next steps to get him bought in and not quit after the first month? Do you even have them? Okay, onboarding is super important. You will fail if you have poor processes in onboarding a rep. Onboarding means an ongoing support. If you cannot take care of the new rep, he will for sure start looking somewhere else. The best recruiting program in the world will not and cannot overcome a bad onboarding, training, and support system. So questions to self-reflect. Do you have support in place? Number 2, who other than you yourself can befriend the new recruit? And are you being proactive about it? Can you delegate training, onboarding, constant communication to other reps on your team? Do you have a gear guy? How soon are you getting him uniforms? Does your team have an online training plan, or do you just have a personal training plan? You do need both. I see too often that the rep will shadow a guy for a few hours. The next day we send him to the wolves, and the person is just super scared, and I think we can do better than this. So do you have a team calendar of trips and events, and do you have a training schedule? Do you have a list of social media sites and group communications platforms that they should be on? Do you have images and graphics that you can text them with competitions, goals, calendars, clubs, etc., which gives you credibility? When you get somebody on board, okay, what is your first week plan for them? What does the first month plan look like for them? What does the 3-month plan look like? What does the 6-month plan look like? What is the year plan? They need to know that. You need to write it out so that you can share with your recruit something super easily, something maybe through a text or an email, but you have to have material, and it takes time and it takes a little bit of work, okay? What are your expectations of the new recruit? Are they written out? Do you have a checklist for them? Okay, these are all things that they need. Sometime either within the interview or after they're hired, you need to set proper expectations. Be honest with people. Don't exaggerate. Don't lie. Okay, once they're hired on, you got to make commitments and you got to hold them to it. Let go of reps that are not willing to fulfill their commitments. Look at the first 30 days as a continuation of the recruiting process. And during this process, be organized, be structured, know your stuff, look professional, have a plan for them. Do not wing it, which often too many people try to wing it. They think that, in sales that you can just wing everything, and it's not the case. Okay, have a schedule for them with the trips and the training. Let them know how to study and learn. Teach them how to use any tools that you're going to be using and that you have. Okay, help them know where to learn and about the tools that you have, training, pay, etc. Okay, I like to actually print something out, or I create with all this stuff. I like to write it out so they have a plan and they know what to do step by step. Makes it so much easier for them, and then I can hold them accountable to it. Make sure that they understand the next steps that they need to take to progress. Okay, both you and them need to have expectations that you will be constant communication for the first 30 days, which are extremely important. Whether that's sending a text to them every day or some type of material, some training video, or holding them accountable every day for the first 30 days, you just need to continue that and continue to recruit them. Okay, training is super important. Okay, my first time in the industry, door to door, my training was pretty much, hey, there you saw a sell, good luck, go out there and do it. And I think that too often that is what we think that training is, and we completely need to get out of that mindset, because you're not going to retain guys if you're just throwing them out to the wolves. So get out of the mindset that we're just going to throw out these new recruits out on their own and they will either sink or swim. You have to have a training program for these guys to succeed. So build your own training program if nothing is in place. Use the company's training program that they have in place, but make an outline so they know what to do and how to access those trainings. And whether it's books, which is also another thing that's good. I mean, get them like a book club. Brian Tracy, you have Zig Ziglar, you have Grant Cardone, The Wolf of Wall Street, all these different books that they can read, but build a training program for your organization and your team. Be organized and hold people accountable. If they're not being accountable, then you know that they're not progressing and they're just gonna die off, and might as well just save you both some time and money and just get rid of them. Okay, use the tools that your company already has created, but also create your own to make sure that the new recruit knows how to access all the training. The first trainings need to be broad, such as you need to create a foundation for them of what the company is all about, their history, their vision, the compensation, their culture, the expectations, values, okay, how to set an appointment if that's what you're going to be doing, and how to close. You need to go over the products, also the services, pricing, sales tools, technology, core competencies that you guys have. Also, to help these guys grow, you need to set up a weekly training for your team, and if people are all across the country, then you need to do something online, and if they're all in one spot, then do something that's local. And maybe you can accomplish both. Just create a webinar for them, and just every Monday or whatever you're going to do. Number 7 is train on behaviors such as working hard, when to start and how to start, and to work the extra hours after dark, how to get into reading sales books, getting up early, going to the gym. Okay, don't substance abuse, such as try not to drink, try not to smoke, try to cut back on that, because you're either losing money or it's a kind of will knock you out of play. And if you're going to do that stuff, then save it for the weekend when you're not working, not during the week, because it will throw you off. A team leader always lead by example. Show these guys that how to do it and what to do. Okay, some last thoughts here, and I kind of hashed on this a little bit, but if you are not willing to spend money to build your business, you are thinking small. To build a team, it costs money, and lots of it. Also, when a new rep is hired, mine him for referrals and new recruits. So often you get a new recruit and you don't do anything with it, but he is a whole new resource for you to build your team and recruit from that. The future of recruiting is online. Right now, the average cost per new recruit is probably about $200 from social media outlets. So just have the mindset going into this that's what you're going to be paying, if not more, for a new recruit. Okay, referral recruits are tough to predict, the future growth, but there's something that's magical about paid advertising, and what that is it's predictable. You can pay $2,000 and you will know that you will get 10 recruits. Okay, and you just got to ask yourself once again, are you willing to do that? Are you going to grow? Okay, you need to focus on retention, and you also need to focus on improving your processes. Okay, you will only retain 10% to 40% of these new recruits, and that's something that you need to just get in your mind right now. So when we're recruiting these people, that depending on how talented you are, probably 10 to 40% of these are going to stick. That's it. Appreciate you spending this time with me, and your feedback on these videos. I'm going to try to get better and better as we go along. So have a great night.